Hi, I'm Britt Bird, joined by Sam Place and Alex Peaches Chang. We are the hosts of View from 202, a New York Red Bulls fan podcast based in Brooklyn, New York. Through 16 matches of the 2016 season, the Red Bulls have 22 points and a record of 7-8-1, which is good for a second place in the Eastern Conference. But the season so far has really been a story of two halves. In the beginning of the season, everything was simply going wrong, and we started out 1-6. But around sometime in April, we really began to turn it around, especially at a 4-0 home victory against another really good side, FC Dallas. And then after another tough loss to rival DC United, the team really put it together and won 5 games in a row, during which they scored 14 unanswered goals. Now, which of course included the 7-0 victory at Yankee Stadium that we all remember so well. So let's return, though, to that first opening difficult stretch, though, when we just simply couldn't do anything wrong. Or did anything right. What happened? What was the deal?
Well, I think it was injuries, and I think it was lack of center backs. And I think one of the reasons we were so successful in 2015 was because we had Damian Perenelle and Matt Miazga in the back holding things down, which allowed our midfield and attack to do their thing. This year we missing both of those guys, along with a few others due to injury.
Yeah, I mean, I agree that our center back problem was really exacerbated by the amount of injuries we had between Gideon Ba and Zubar and all of our starters. But I think that what's more symptomatic of everything seeming to go wrong for us was the fact that none of our forwards could finish and we couldn't score a goal to save our lives.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there were a lot of instances of Bradley Wright Phillips and even Mike Grella, to a certain degree, just getting their shots deflected right at the last moment and just nothing really falling. Gideon Ba, though, who was signed as off-season reinforcement, also unfortunately got injured right at the beginning, and Ronald Zubar has also been suffering recurring injuries that really kept a lot of instability in the back line. But with the turnaround in April, what went right?
Well, I think the Aurelian Collin signing really helped us turn things around. I think that it really solved one of the big issues with our center backs.
Yeah, Aurelian Collin has been immense for us in the back line. He barks orders at everyone else. He's a real leader in the back. He came in and fit in immediately with everyone else. He's been phenomenal in defending very aggressively, especially with our signature high press style, and has been rock solid there. And we've not given up any goals basically since he's signed on.
Yeah, one or two here or there, but it's been incredibly solid. I think it does pay credence to the idea that last year's success really was dependent on a rock-solid pairing in the back. Mm-hmm. And we did have a lot of plays and a lot of attacking plays that started from our own third. And I think some of it also was a little bit of a reversion to the norm. I think there were a couple games, especially the first couple losses, that we were perhaps a bit unlucky, could have gotten a point or maybe 3 out of. So I think it was a combination of the two. Building from this, and speaking of individual players, have there been any standout individual performances so far this season for you?
I think Sasha Klestrom would be my standout player. I think another big component of our success is the trio in the midfield, which is Felipe, Dax McCarty, and Sasha Klestrom. And with Sasha Klestrom playing that number 10 role and creating so many chances, I think he's leading the league in assists right now.
With 10 assists.
And I think that really, that helps us score and helps us win.
Yeah, Sasha Klestrom has been absolutely tremendous as our attacking midfielder. And every play goes through him. He creates chances out of nothing, and he's really been able to guide our attack and create probably I don't have the number off the top of my head, but the most chances in the league.
Yeah, Sasha's certainly my MVP for the season so far. He's on track to potentially hit that 20 assist number, which is kind of a hallowed mark. Would be a nice kind of symmetry to BWP hitting 27 a couple years ago in 2013. I think there's been also solid performances from Mike Grella, who seems to be out on a mission to prove that last year was not necessarily a fluke. But yeah, and then the entire attacking play has also improved since about that same April point. On the flip side of this, have there been any disappointments from individual standpoint from your view?
Well, I'll have to say that Kamar Lawrence, the Jamaican international, has not really been up to snuff since last year. Going into this year, he was expected to be one of the best fullbacks in the league. The year before, he contained Messi in the Copa America, so everyone had very high expectations of him, but he kind of fell short with injury problems and not playing up to snuff. The Jamaican coach, in fact, said that he could have been a little bit more professional and not playing.
That was
through
actually
his
Jesse
injury.
Marsh, I believe, who said that.
No, that was
One of the greats.
I think along the same lines, of injured players, I'd say Gonzalo Veron's been a little disappointing. I think just the fact that we had signed him as a designated player from River Plate. San Lorenzo. I think that there was a lot of hype going into his signing and him being an offensive player on our team, and he's been injured and just hasn't had a lot of consistent playing time, spare maybe the preseason of this year, and I think it's been kind of disappointing thus far for him.
Yeah, I think it's always been a product of a shortage of opportunity, but it would be nice to see more from him. For me, I think it has to be Carl Ouimet, which is perhaps a bit harsh. Carl was just recently sent down to Jacksonville Armada in the NASL on a season-long loan. And it's harsh because he was not necessarily expected to be a guy in the regular 11 day in, day out. However, I do think that head coach Jesse Marsh and technical director or sporting director Ali Curtis did think that Carl Ouimet was going to be able to do a job while we waited for Damian Perenel and Ronald Zubar and Gideon Bod to get up to health. Unfortunately, all three of them got hurt at certain points, and Carl Ouimet was their number one CB on the sheet with either Kamar Lawrence or Chris Duval, and he didn't quite, I think, prove to be up to the task. And in hindsight, moving for Colin was absolutely the right move, and we don't really have room for Carl Ouimet anymore. Even though he's been a bit short on luck, that was, I think, a key factor in our rough start. So moving forward, what has been our favorite moment of the season so far?
Well, I think the NYCFC 7-0 win has got to be. I think that's probably the consensus favorite.
Yeah. I mean, it's hard to argue against it.
It's hard to argue against it. Well, I mean, I specifically think that the Mike Grella chip over Stefan Fry in the Seattle game is indicative of everything that has to do with the legend Greladinho. Just the
Glen Cove Messi,
the Long Island Pele, that he just works hard, gets to the ball, and then when he gets a good chance, he will put you in with a lot of cheek.
Yeah. I agree. Consensus is definitely 7-0 at Yankee Stadium. I will highlight again, though, the 4-0 victory against FC Dallas, which is, I think, one of the best teams in the league, which was really the beginning of our resurgence. The opposite of this, what's been our lowest moment of the season so far?
Go ahead.
I think that our lowest moment was when we lost 2-0 to DC United, who are supposed to be our main rivals. We go to their house and we play absolutely listlessly. No idea. We didn't even run around, and we looked absolutely lost. I think it was indicative of everything compounding upon itself in the beginning of the season, leading to that kind of a loss, even though we were starting to go on an upward trajectory.
Yeah, no, I mean that was a tough game. I guess just to list another different moment, I'd say the Montreal loss away was kind of tough. All three of us ended up traveling up to the game and spending the weekend in Montreal. Great little town or city, but that loss is particularly tough. I don't think we had a chance from the start, and we just got beat really bad.
Yeah, for me, I'm gonna have to say away to Colorado, which was a tough circumstance. It was near the end of that really bad rough start. Snow Classico 2, tough circumstances, but seeing Jermaine Jones show up in his first game for his new team, the Colorado Rapids, score his first goal against us.
It's almost fitting.
It was fitting, and it was what, as they say, so Metro to a certain extent.
I do not like that man.
Yeah, I mean, definitely not when he's wearing burgundy or Rebs blue. So for the rest of the season, what do we have to look forward to, or what are your expected results from this team?
I'm really hoping that we win some silverware. We're in all of our competitions now, and we have a lot of
CCL,
opportunities.
U.S. Open Cup, MLS.
Yeah, and we have a very deep team, and I'm really excited because going into the season, all the talk was on the amount of homegrown players we signed from the academy, and I really think that the youth movement is looking bright. We're already starting to see the fruits of our labor. They're getting substantial minutes, and they look like they're playing well with a very high potential.
Yeah, I mean, I think some of the young guys like Alex Mule, Sean Davis, Justin Billiou, and others have been stepping up in the last few games. And
Billiou was a draft pick.
I think regardless, I think the young players have been stepping up, and I think that this is really helpful for this. We're currently going through a very rough patch. of a lot of games concentrated in a very short time span. And I think we have the depth to do well in situations like that. And I think that'll translate to a high number of points in the Eastern Conference, and I think a good playoff run in addition to good CCL and Open Cup performances.
Yeah, an interesting fact is that through 15 matches, we actually had 2 points more than we did at this point last season, where we, of course, won the Cup.
The Supporters' Shield.
Yeah, pardon me, if only. The Supporters' Shield. It does appear that the Supporters' Shield is a slightly longer chance this year. However, this Red Bulls team, I think, does have the potential to make a playoff run. They definitely have a potential to make a U.S. Open Cup run, which is impossible to predict. And I would personally expect them to play quality teams and qualify to their CONCACAF Champions League group. Really, it's a question of tournament performance now in knockout games. But I think we will get into the playoffs and give ourselves a chance. So, last question. What grade would you give the Red Bulls season so far?
I think we've been all right looking forward. I'm optimistic, but so far I think we've been playing at like a B-. I
think the first quarter of the season was like a C+, and then the second quarter was an A-. So I'm going to give us a B, I think. B+.
Yeah, I'm going to have to go with a B as well. Once again, it's really a tale of two extremes. I will say, though, I prefer having this duality compared to other teams in the East around us, which seem to be more consistently playing at a slightly mediocre rate, which might tell that that's just their true capability. We've seen that we can be horrible, the worst team in the league any given week. We can also be one of the best teams in the league every given week. And the way that MLS is built, if we can turn on at the right time, we can finally get that hallowed cup in addition to our shields that we already have. Let us know if you disagree, of course. It won't be the first time and it won't be the last. Thank you to Baz and Ped for doing the really good work that you guys do week in, week out. You can subscribe and listen to our podcast every week on iTunes, Stitcher, and pretty much any platform you can think of. And, of course, directly at our website at viewfrom202.com. Right. What happened? What was the deal?
Well, I think it was injuries, and I think it was lack of center backs. And I think one of the reasons we were so successful in 2015 was because we had Damien Perenelle and Matt Miazga in the back holding things down, which allowed our midfield and attack to do their thing. This year, we missing both of those guys, along with a few others due to injury.
Yeah, I agree that our center back.
Hi, I'm Britt Bird, joined by Sam Place and Alex Peaches Chang. We are the hosts of View from 202, a New York Red Bulls fan podcast based in Brooklyn, New York. Through 16 matches of the 2016 season, the Red Bulls have 22 points and a record of 7-8-1, which is good for a second place in the Eastern Conference. But the season so far has really been a story of two halves. In the beginning of the season, everything was simply going wrong, and we started out 1-6. But around sometime in April, we really began to turn it around, especially at a 4-0 home victory against another really good side, FC Dallas. And then after another tough loss to rival DC United, the team really put it together and won 5 games in a row, during which they scored 14 unanswered goals. Now, which of course included the 7-0 victory at Yankee Stadium that we all remember so well. So let's return, though, to that first opening difficult stretch, though, when we just simply couldn't do anything wrong.
The problem was really exacerbated by the amount of injuries we had between Gideon Ba and Zubar and all of our starters. But I think that what's more symptomatic of everything seeming to go wrong for us was the fact that none of our forwards could finish and we couldn't score a goal to save our lives.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there were a lot of instances of Bradley Wright Phillips and even Mike Grella, to a certain degree, just getting their shots deflected right at the last moment and just nothing really falling. Gideon Ba, though, who was signed as off-season reinforcement, also unfortunately got injured right at the beginning, and Ronald Zubar has also been suffering recurring injuries that really kept a lot of instability in the back line. But with the turnaround in April, what went right?
Well, I think the Aurelian Collin signing really helped us turn things around. I think that it really solved one of the big issues with our center backs.
Yeah, Aurelian Collin has been immense for us.